Over the past decade, a new tournament has been on the rise. The World Baseball Classic has went from a niche tournament to a global sensation. With viewership surging from the last two campaigns, the rivalries has made the tournament into baseball's ultimate global showdown. And over the last two editions, the LoanDepot in Miami has been the home for the finals, having a capacity of over 30,000 seats filled in the last two editions. But can that change for the next World Championship? Recently, Houston had their eyes set on hosting the finals for the next campaign. Dakin Park, which is the home of the Astros as well as the sixth largest baseball field in the state, averaged a holding capacity of over 35,000 for all 10 group games in this edition. That is a 40% increase from the LoanDepot in Miami, and was the highest in the US, just second behind the Tokyo Dome in Japan. It's important to point out that there's three major events going on in Houston this year, with the Baseball Classic and the World Cup estimated to bring in $1.6 billion for the Houston economy. That's not bad at all. Hosting events like this has positioned Houston to be a shoo-in for other tournaments like the Olympic Games and strong candidates for future World Cups. Miami, on the other hand, is set to have a $3 billion influx from events like the World Cup and Formula One, which will drive their economic boat. If you're looking at it from a number standpoint, Miami clears Houston by a long shot, but it's Miami's volume, which crosses over 12 plus events, that gets them to that $3 billion number, compared to Houston, which is hosting less than double the events happening in Miami. So what is it about Miami that it gets to host all phases of the tournament? We can say it's the economy and that it's probably more established than Houston's, but what about the culture? The owner of the Miami Marlins went on and said, "Miami is the home of international baseball, or home of baseball." In Miami, most baseball fans are people of Hispanic or Latino origin and make up 65% of baseball fans. And when you look at Houston's people of Latino descent, it still dominates the population, with 35% of the demographic being Mexican American. Although Miami is diverse with people from Hispanic origin, Houston is all around the most diverse out of the two, which would make it a good candidate for being a big host right now. But then I wonder, why not LA host it, or even Tokyo? Okay, Tokyo I do get, although Japan's won it 3 times and have had the highest viewership of the tournament. Commuting all the way to Asia for players could risk injuries and cause fatigue. But it's still because the popularity of later stage games in the tournament are still US centric. With the way the tournament's going in popularity, there's potential for later stage games to be played internationally. So LA then, with a GDP of over $1 trillion, an ethnically diverse fan base, as well as one of the biggest draws in baseball, why can't the home of the Dodgers have a deeper host run in the Baseball Classic? The tournament overlaps with the packed calendar for the stadium, which includes 81 home games, as well as prep for the 2028 Olympics. Not to mention, the prestige tournament needs constant maintenance from the wear it takes during the year, especially with the era the Dodgers team is in right now. I personally thought LA could have been a good option, seeing that it's one of the most iconic tourist attractions. But back to the main point, should Houston host more phases for 2030? I sure think so. I think Miami is already Miami and it has its own thing going on. Houston is still growing, and I think in a post-World Cup era for Houston, it might draw bigger crowds and have other leagues and federations make it a mainstay for their tournaments. So if they do get that bid, I don't think anyone will lose here. Well, that's my thoughts on the subject. Comment below and let me know your thoughts if Houston's a good option to be hosting more sporting events.